Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm Heidi Smith, I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator based in the United Kingdom, and today I'm making a project for the Inspireink crew. We get together and create projects on various themes once a month, and this time we were set a challenge of sunshine, flowers and insects. So I kind of think I've ticked the boxes. A couple of stamp sets that I haven't had out in quite a while. The lovely Nature's Harvest, which is a beautiful stamp set with these sort of echinaceas. Black-eyed Susans, maybe I think they might be called. And then Garden Wishes, which was the only one I could find straight away that had a bee, had an insect. You know, I probably have got other sets as well, I'm sure, but that was the one that came to mind. And I just thought the reason I made this, and it was so appropriate, was because I happen to have a lovely Bee Lovely hand cream, which is a lovely Neal's Yard product, absolutely beautiful, and it is Save the Bees. So I kind of, they all kind of came together in a rather nice way. I've got an old retired folder I've used here because I can't find my Hive 3D folder. So I'm using an old one called Hexagon, which is a dynamic one. But I think it does the same job, gives a lovely texture. Added a little ribbon on the top here and just covered that up on the inside. And then I've used just one of the die cuts from this lovely Nature's Harvest set. You've got this lovely sort of stalks of corn here. I thought that made a nice accent. And then the label is from the same stamp set as well, and obviously therefore fits these two sentiments really well. So no DSP on this one, just some stamping and a bit of embossing, and then I've added a little bit of the sunshine bit. I thought was by the colour Daffodil Delight. It kind of is nice sunshine yellow. So that's what I'm going to make today. Let's get started. I will put dimensions in inches on my blog and in the description bar below here as well for you. And what else I was going to say? Ribbon. Can't find the ribbon. That was the crinkled seam binding, which I seem to have misplaced. So there we go. It's this one here. Quite a nice width actually. Slightly narrower than some of the other ones. So it's just over 6 millimeters in width. But it's kind of quite pretty, and obviously you could colour that if you wanted to go with whatever colour. Use your Stampin' blends. So to start off with, then I'm going to do it in exactly the same colourway in terms of the card base, but I thought I might try something a little bit different with the embossing, just to kind of give that real honeycomb kind of feel. So you're going to need a piece of card that is 20 by 21.5 centimetres, and then on the long edge you're going to score at 4 at 16.5 and at 20.5. Turn it round, and then you're going to score on the short edge again at 4, at 9.5 and at 13.5. And then the last score is just at 19 centimetres. You're going to need a couple of other bits and pieces, so I thought on this one, rather than the yellow, so saffron, I might actually do some vellum and see how that looks. Now vellum can be quite tricky to adhere to your projects, so again I just thought I'd give it a go with the adhesive sheets. So you can see I've got some adhesive sheet here, and the piece of vellum is 12.2 by 5.2. So I'm just going to cut my adhesive sheet to the same size. In fact, that piece might work well for the inside. And then you need a couple of other pieces. So you want a scrap for the top, and I've used the So Saffron here, and this is 5.2 by 3.7. That's for the lid, and then for the inside I'm going to do one exactly the same. So 3.7 and then 5.2. very straight. Just take it down. There we go. That's just to cover up where the ribbon is attached on the inside. Okay. So I'll just pop this onto the back of my vellum before I emboss it. So just pop that inside your embossing folder and decide which side up it's going to be. So obviously you can use, I'm using the sort of sides of the hexagons, just line that up a little bit. In fact, if I move that across, I can pop this piece in at the same time, or perhaps not. There we go. There we go. So there we go with our embossing folder. So I'm hoping that's going to work. That's my top layer as well. So it's coming together. Now what we need to do is do a bit of stamping. So I've got the lovely flower image here, and I'm just going to stamp this in Memento. Really ink it up well. I'm going to stamp my main image. And red rubber, beautiful crisp image. And then I'm just going to stamp a couple of my little bees there. I'm just going to layer my die over the top here. And you do actually, with this stamp set, so it's this, the Garden Wishes one with the little bees in, you do actually get 2 of the little bees in there to die cut. So you can simply pop those over the top and die cut out the bees out as well. Having put those through my die cutting machine, I've got myself a nice little label here. We've got a couple of our little bees, and then this lovely echinacea image as well, which I haven't done the best job cutting that out, have I? But I think I've got a spare one. There we go. Okay, so now what we can do is do a bit of colouring. So I'm just going to use some of my Stampin' blends, and I'm just using 2 colours. I'm using the Granny Apple and the Daffodil Delight. I'm going to come in and just colour those petals in a Daffodil Delight, and then come in with the darker one in the sort of centres there, and then just blending that out, just kind of coming over the edges. So then I can do and these stamped images are really quite forgiving in terms of the colouring, because they're quite detailed. It's surprising how they pick up the detail, so even if your colouring isn't tremendously accurate, you can get lovely effects. And I'm certainly not the best colourist in the world, that's for certain. So I'm just using that dark Daffodil Delight on the top there. You could always use a bit of Mango Melody. I'm going to add a little colour in there. And then again, just, and what I'm kind of doing is colouring over where that darker one meets the lighter one, just to kind of blend, do exactly what it says on the tin, blend that in. I'm going to come in with my light, and I'm going to just use the bullet tip on this, because they're quite narrow stems. They just lend themselves better to the bullet tip, I think. And again, just sort of, although Granny Apple Green's quite a vibrant green, it's on small areas like this, it just sort of seems to quite a nice fresh green. And I'm just going to come in with a little bit on those leaves, just to add a little interest, and bits on the stem at the tops there where they'd be in the shade, where those other leaves are sort of crossing over. Then again, just a little bit more. Create our image. I'm going to use my Dark Daffodil Delight for my bumblebee, and I'm simply going to colour all of his body. Allow the black to kind of come through, and then I'm just going to grab my Wink of Stella. If you haven't got Wink of Stella, then a little bit of glue and glitter you could always add, or just colour with a little bit of grey, and that'll work really well as well. So I've die cut my corn stalks. There's my little bee, and then I just need to stamp my sentiment on here. Then we can create the panel. So just use my grid paper to help line that up. There we go. So now I'm just going to double check which side is the vellum side on. So I've just used my pokey tool just to lift up the corner of that there, ready for me to when I create my panel. And what I'm going to do is add a little bit of Tombow to the back of my corn stalks. Now these will be actually, I'm just sort of adding these a little bit on because this will be held in place by my flower in a moment. So I'm just going to add that in there. And I'm going to cut up some dimensionals and use mini dimensionals on the back here. I'm sort of quite fairly liberal with these, again because I'm trying to make sure I trap those stems in place. So I'm just adding a couple on each of the larger flowers, and as we come down where there's space to pop a dimensional, that's what I'm doing. Oops. Anywhere else I can stick a dimensional. My bee's going to go up on a dimensional as well at the moment. This is where it's quite useful. You know, you can see I've marked the back of my dimensionals. It's quite useful when you're doing something like this where you've put quite a few on to actually see where they all are. So you see particularly these ones here will just hold that in place. I'm just going to trim the bottom there where it's overhanging slightly, and then again pop a dimensional onto the back of my sentiment. To pop it on there, and then just my bee left. And that's then my panel for the front ready. So that can set to one side. So now we need to construct the box. So as I said, that's my layer for the lid. That's my layer for the inside. You're going to want a hole punch. I've got an old Stampin' Up one, but it's just a narrow one that I'm going to use. Always a good idea to reinforce these score lines with a bone folder for a box, and when you do that, just make sure your edges are lining up in case you've gone slightly awry on one of your sides. This one, this way, it'll just help. You can always realign it with a little bit of encouragement from your bone folder. So you're going to end up with a piece that looks like this. You've got a narrow score at the top, and what I want you to do is just bring your trimmer in, and on this first section, if you line this up at around about 1.5 centimetres, this first long section, I'm just going to cut between the score lines on that as well, and that's just to reinforce that front edge. Often on a box, that front edge can get a little bit tatty, so all I'm going to do is just cut down there and then just notch out very, very slightly, like so. I'm cutting away the top skinny section of the two short sections, and just make sure you cut down nice and square on this big piece here. So this is the large section next to the skinniest section, and we're just cut here. And then to help with the box closure, if you just take a little edge, just a narrow bit on each of these, like so. Turn it around, and then at the bottom, again we're cutting away the little skinny section, and then you can just cut up on each of these sections. I find it easier with closure if you again just notch those out slightly, but that's just on the narrower sections, because you want these main ones to stay nice and flush with the edge of your box. Want to corner around this top edge here, as you said. Whatever corner rounder you happen to have, just pop that in there, and that just helps the box, the lid, close a little more easily. And then what you want to do is mark the midpoint of there. It doesn't have to be absolutely precise, but it's around 2.75. Which I say hasn't got to be precise. You mark the middle and then come in with your hole punch and just do a couple of little notches out. Just take a small amount of ribbon, like so, and that you're just going to pop through that hole. Turn it over and just make sure that's sort of lying flat. And then I would recommend that you use your Seal Plus across here. Don't go right to the edge, and you'll see why in a moment. You lay that ribbon down there and then pop your layering piece of, oh no, meant to trim those first. There we go. Trim it first, then put your layering piece on the top, but that then will cover your ribbon up for you. Now that's the back of the box, so we want our panel on the front here. So as I said, I've just peeled that back, and I'm going to pop that panel there, and it really does look like a sort of sheet of beeswax there. Add some Seal Plus to the inside of that flap and give that a good burnish down as well. And then we're going to add our Seal Plus to the long edge, and then if you fold your box up and burnish that down, that will get a really good closure. Fold your two sides in and your bottom. Again, a little Seal Plus at the bottom there. And all that's left, I just realised I haven't put my layer on there. When it's embossed like this, if you haven't used adhesive sheet, then I find Tombow is the best to use. because it will get into the kind of grooves of that embossing layer and help it stick. And obviously it's almost got a little bit of dimension as well on it. And then that's ready to pop your gift in. So as I said, mine was a hand cream, but as you can see here, they really do come to life. I hope you enjoy making it. It's perfect for one of those hand creams, and this is about, what size is it? It's a 50ml hand cream, so a fairly standard size of hand cream, but I think it makes a really pretty box, and hopefully I've fulfilled the Inspireink brief of sunshine, flowers and insects. Please do pop along to the others and see what they've created as well. Everybody, we really appreciate it when people enjoy what we're doing. Hopefully it just gives you a little bit of inspiration to get you back on track with your crafting. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to purchase any of the items you've seen today, just hop along to my blog at flutterbyheidi.co.uk and you'll find the links there. Or if you go to the description bar, if you're on YouTube, you'll find all the links direct to my shop. And it really does make a difference if you support me by making a purchase. So thank you for watching. Bye now.